Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Idaho Humvee here. And as you can see, I've got Loki with me on this adventure. He has a toy, but he chooses the rock, because of course he does. So today we're up here in the Boise National Forest. The original campground I was going to was very misleading in the photos. So here's where I'm at currently. There's a little creek running back here. Don't know if you'll be able to see anything. Right where that log is going across the way is the creek. So you got a nice little noise going in the background, some birds, some people on the highway on motorcycles because it's only a mile off the road. Actually, I think it's closer. Yeah, that's a lot closer, never mind. Sorry, I've been running Forest Service roads for most of the day. I forget how far away I am from things. Picked up some firewood. Debating if I'm going to stay here tonight. It's $15 to stay at this campground versus free at the one I was planning. Loki, buddy, you don't need a rock. I swear, that dog. Then again, he's the one that put teeth marks into my steel on my trailer. You know, the I-beam part, not just cheap little diamond plate. But yeah. You love that rock, don't you, buddy? They say leave no trace, so I can't take it home. But anyways, if I stay here, it's a nice little spot. There's a little cook table, fire ring, picnic table. Up over here, see the Humvee, obviously. It's got a nice little spot for a tent, which I'll end up setting up a Marine Corps two-person combat tent if I stay. But the big reason why I'm thinking whether I want to or not is Humvee related, because of course it is. I do believe I have a leaking frickin' hub. Great. So it's either that or brake lines. I'm going to look into that real quick before I decide to set up camp or not, because there's no cell service here. And I need to get back to Idaho City for cell service so my wife can come get Loki and I can go home, get my truck and trailer, drag this thing home, if that's what it comes to. And she works tomorrow. So yeah, that might have to happen tonight. So stick around and let's see what happens. All right, so upon further reflection and analysis, and my own stupidity, that's not brake lines. That's part of the Fording system, which means that's probably a hub leak. Yay, because brakes are over here. Huh, who'd have thunk it? Yeah, so that's freaking great. Which means I don't have anything to fix that right now. Which means I gotta hope I can get it down to Idaho City for cell service. So I've decided if it's gonna be tonight or tomorrow's problem. We'll see. All right, as you can see, I'm deciding to spend the night. I'm sitting here thinking about it, and if that gear hub freezes up on me or something coming down the hill, even if I make it to Idaho City, that's what, almost 2 hours away from home, which means I have to call my wife, tell her, hey, can you come grab me? So I can go home, grab my truck, grab my trailer, come back and get this Humvee and get it home, which means a very late night in the mountains, in the dark. Not something I'm thrilled about doing as far as loading on a trailer. So I'm just gonna spend the night, try and relax the best I can, have a good time, play with Loki a little bit after he relaxes from his dinner later. Don't want him to get bloat, because bloat will kill. But I am glad he's done playing with that ball on the rock and relaxing for a minute. So, I have a Marine Corps two-person combat tent made by Eureka. And this one I grabbed, threw it in the Humvee and went, you know, I should grab my spare one too, just in case, right? Good thing, this one didn't have poles, because why would it? So I scavenged the poles from the other one and got that all set up. And I did use a footprint on this, which you can see it sticking out here. Basically, it's a tarp that's designed to be the same size as your tent to save the bottom of your tent and increase its longevity and its lifespan. Yeah, I don't know. That footprint is made by Diamond. I'm not too thrilled with it. Doesn't like to stay in place. It's not even the right size. But Diamond and Eureka both made these tents, so it was supposed to work. Guess not. But let me give you a cool little tour here. This little mat is actually a dog bed made by LA Police Gear. It's really thin, honestly. I wouldn't use it for my dogs. Then again, that dingus likes to sleep on rocks, so maybe I would use it. But it does make a nice little kneeling mat when you kneel to get into your tent, so that way you're not bringing in all your crud and you're not, stabbing yourself with all these little rocks in the knees. And then getting into said tent, we have Loki's Rustic Ridge -35 bag that I told you about in a previous video. We'll see how that works tonight. Realistically, it's not supposed to get below like 30. So these are both complete overkill. We'll both probably be sleeping on top of them, honestly. Neither one of us like the heat. And then over here, I have a Browning -30 bag called the McKinley. And I just realized Loki's bag is rated for better than mine. Huh. Whatever. What you don't see is underneath the floor are army pads just to help keep the thermal away and keep the pokies out. And then under me, because Loki doesn't really care about comfort, like I've given him hundreds of dollars worth of beds. He's like, yeah, I'm just gonna sleep on the floor. I'm like, dude, you can literally sleep on the bed with me, but no, okay. So I'm not too worried about him. Plus all this is quite cushy. But no, under mine is a Climate air pad, which has that little bit of memory foam on the upper portion. I've used it before, I've had no problem with it. I like it. In fact, I kind of like it better than my normal mattress. I have a little Climate pillow up there too, and a blanket just in case I want to be lightly covered instead of, -30 covered. I've got my battery bank here, nifty little 12-volt inflator. Runs off of the AIM-TOM battery bank. I'm also going to plug in a little USB fan so we have some airflow and some noise. Although we have a nice breeze right now. I don't know if you can really see the trees moving. Yeah, a little bit over here. So it'll be a nice evening. Just a swaying in the wind. But all right. I am going to make something to eat because I haven't had anything since this morning. So let's go get that set up. All right, so tonight's dinner is Mountain House Pasta Primavera. I have my Primus stove set up using a Stanley cup, pot thing, whatever you want to call it. You can find these at Walmart. What's cool is the little Primus containers actually fit in here, so these are just stacked in there. The only downside with this particular stove is it does not have a igniter. So I have a little ferro rod from my buddy's shop, Faith Outdoors in Nampa, Idaho. He has it all branded because of course. Alright, as you can tell, I have great experience with this particular one. Brand new. But just a nice little ferro rod, nice little wood handle, striker, paracord, carrying case that's branded as well. If I recall, the rod is as well. Let's see here. You get to watch me struggle. Yep, branded Faith Outdoors as well. So I'm going to get this going. Take my 13 ounces of water. Get that boiling, cook up some dinner, and then I'll keep setting up camp. Well, we have it going. Not entirely sure about this whole stove. Could be altitude. We'll see how this works out. We are generating bubbles slowly. Yeah, honey, I should have brought my whisper light. Oh, it's burned. Yeah, we'll see how this works out. I call that a success. Chances are it's an altitude issue and a new stove issue. We're at about 5,800 feet. Canisters don't tend to like that. But we do have boiling water. I'll go ahead and get that poured in my mountain house and get waiting while it does its thing. You good, Lokes? Or does a fly tick me off? Yeah, you're good. All right, I'm hungry. Well, as you can see, it's evening now. Now it's just time to sit back and enjoy the cold that suddenly came in. Because I shouldn't be surprised the second the sun goes down, it gets cold. You can see Loki's having a good old time. He's already had dinner, went for a walk, and then another walk, because of course it's Loki. Almost 3 years ago, I rescued him from a young woman who got herself into a bind. I don't know the full story. I can make educated guesses, but that doesn't do well here. But needless to say, she got in a position where she couldn't afford to feed him, let alone herself. So she started looking and was wondering what questions you ask to find the right home for your dog that you have to give up. Well, I saw her post and I told her I don't know what questions to ask, but I'm looking for another dog because Kimber's driving me crazy. And we talked for a little while. I told my wife, and about a month later, we had Loki. And he's the best money I've ever spent. And I made a promise to that girl, that young woman, that I would love him and cherish him and treat him right and do my damnedest for him. That I would take him camping and do a bunch of other adventures with him. So here we are on Loki's first camping trip. A black dog in a black environment really stands out, doesn't it? But almost 3 years later, I'm finally able to make good on that promise to take him camping and have a good time and just relax out in the woods. And it's also my first time camping alone with no other human. So it's an interesting experience. I'm glad to have my boy by my side. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun night. It's gonna get down to about 30 degrees, I suspect, at least according to the weather, and we know how accurate that is, so maybe 20 degrees. Like I said, our sleeping bags are rated for like -30. I've got thermals. Loki and I could even cuddle if he gets desperate enough. He doesn't like to cuddle, but I'll make him cuddle if I have to. It's not in a big tent. But yeah, we'll make it through the night just easily enough. As you can see, the sun has absolutely gone down. Now it's just an outline of pine trees in the sky. Eventually the stars shall come. I put some lights on my Humvee. I don't know why. I say it's so I can have situational lighting. The reality is, it was cheap lighting on clearance at Lowe's, powered by USB, and apparently only draws 1 watt per strand, which is impressive. So yeah, I'm making good on my investment, right? As you can see, cars do occasionally drive by, but they slowed down. Being out here in Idaho, the middle of nowhere does that. We did have a chipmunk earlier that apparently has a death wish. Got within about 5 feet of me, just came running right up to me. Luckily for him, Loki was snoring. Some guard dog he is. But yeah, he came back again. Loki saw him, but he didn't get close enough to do anything. So yeah, it'll be an interesting evening. And I will see you guys in the morning. Good morning, everyone. As expected, it froze last night. We did all right in the tent. It was definitely warmer inside. Had to get up twice to go relieve myself, but that sucked. I mean, you know, going from your normal days of 85 degrees to 30 at night and realizing you only brought shorts instead of any long pants. I had thermal underwear and all that, but live and learn. The key is to live. Loki did pretty good last night. The only issue is because this is so drastically outside of his norm, he did have some anxiety initially in the tent. There's heavy panting and like unsure of what's going on, that sort of thing. but we got him through it, and he had a pretty good evening. He even cuddled a little bit this morning when it got really cold. So it takes basically freezing temperatures for him to love me. Got it. As you can see this morning, I was attempting to start my Primus stove. I even took this butane canister with me into my sleeping bag. It ran out of fuel, so I'll be using that one shortly once this burner cools down so I can swap over. And I'll be having old scrambled eggs, not realizing that it was not scrambled eggs and bacon. Oh well. Finally got his fire going this morning. My Vaseline-covered cotton balls froze. Didn't know that was a thing. So that was an interesting experience. I'm just keeping my Stanley Cup on here so it warms up a little bit, save fuel on the other one. But yeah. What, Loki? No whines. You got caught on wood again. You got caught on that? Really? That's much left of the tree? Oh. Yeah, so I don't know how it happened, but apparently I tossed and turned last night, slept on the air pad underneath the sleeping bag instead of in the sleeping bag. You can see everything is frozen over still. Luckily I was smart enough to put my Rockstar in the sleeping bag with me, because that would have sucked. Frozen over and exploded. No caffeine. Ugh. In case you're wondering, that's a rock. Because of course it is. I don't understand that dog. He has food. It's not gonna play with you, buddy. Anyways, we're gonna warm up here, eat some breakfast, and then slowly pack up camp and head back down the mountain today, hoping that that wheel hub doesn't bind up on me and fuse and all sorts of crap that can happen. But I'm gonna message my buddy when I get to Idaho City and tell him what's going on. Say, hey, if you don't hear me from me by this time, that means it done broke and I'm on the side of the road. No cell service. So come get me. That is one of the keys about going out in the woods, particularly in Idaho and Wyoming and Montana and those kind of states. Rural means rural. You don't always have the luxury of having people nearby. Luckily, I chose a campsite right off of Highway 21, so it's not too far away, and there's 2 other people camping up here. So, major issues, not really a concern here, but boondocking and stuff, rural is rural. You are your own self-rescue. So yeah, I'm gonna put this down, warm up, and eat. Alrighty. Camp is struck down, cleaned up. Fire is out. Put like 4 gallons on it after I burned it down. Loki and I are gonna go for one last walk here before we head back down the mountain. Wish me luck. I may or may not record depending on how irritated I am with the hub on the Humvee. Quit whining, we're gonna go in a second. If I don't record, then one last piece of advice. Remember to dry out and thaw out your gear when you get home. My stuff froze at the edge of the tent, so like my sleeping bag is on the hood right now. I'm gonna shove it in the cab so it can air dry a little bit on the way. And my tent obviously had ice on it. It's still freezing up here. I had a water bottle in my chair next to the tent, fire, next to the fire. Sorry, caffeine still hasn't hit yet. Enough with the wines. And it froze even sitting next to the fire. So yeah, this is a great place to be. However, it is definitely cold. I learned some lessons here. I'm going to change up how I camp. A couple things was like that sleeping bag is a -30. It did not get down below 0. It just did get down into the 20s. So part of the night I was sweating, which is bad. And the other part of the night I was freezing because I was on top of it. And then the whole not in the bag fiasco in the middle of the night, which that was fun. So yeah, I'm going to change up how I camp, what I bring. I may not bring that next time, depending on the temperatures. But yeah, I'm gonna go for a walk and head down the mountain. All right, well, as you can see, I did manage to nurse at home. Portal didn't give me any additional issues, although it isn't leaking as much, which has me concerned for the lack of fluid. But I'll take a look at that here in the next few weeks and get that figured out. She's also due for an oil change. So she's sidelined for now, but that works. Got to get your gear set out, drying out. This thing actually still had ice on it when I pulled it out of the cooler. So that's gonna dry out, the tent's on top, you know, stuff like that. Gotta wash the gear, put all the stuff away, get it prepped for the next trip, which is a lot more work than I thought. I don't like that splatter, but yeah, had a decent trip, made it home, safe, mostly mentally sound. So I guess it's a win. So until next time, bye ho Humvee.